Hey there, welcome to today's episode. And today we're going to talk about 5 reasons why I love you, but not in love with you is a myth. We are going to debunk this notion on this video. Now, I've listened to a number of people opining on this topic and give all the reasons why this statement, in their opinion, is valid. They legitimize this statement. They validate. It's almost like, yeah, it is. It is what it is. Now, I understand why people make this statement, and it's also like those people who I've listened to and watched several of those videos, even here on YouTube, and they're seeming to be making a case for it, but not here. We are going to debunk this myth once and for all. Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why it is a myth, but also give you some reasons, three contextual reasons why a wife or a husband would make this statement. So I'm not going to be naive to the fact that there is a possible, from that person's point of view, very, in their mind, a legitimate reason why they would say that. I mean, I love you, but no longer in love with you. Is that truly a valid statement? Now, if you're hearing me for the first time and wondering, who am I to be speaking on topics like this one, let me just say, I'm Kingsley Grant, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and certified relationship coach. I help married couples have happier marriages, right? Have happier marriages. I make marriages happier again. Now, having counseled and coached hundreds of couples over the past several years and having been married for almost 4 decades, I think I'm more than qualified to talk about topics like this one, and to do so with confidence. And I hope you'll come to that realization at the end of this video as you watch. Now, let me also recommend that as you listen to this video and you're wondering where else could you get more content that I produce, I want to recommend you to listen to my podcast, my weekly podcast, Happier Marriage Secrets, happiermarriagesecrets.com. And you can get my blogs and my podcasts right there on that website. And you hear me cover topics like this, topics similar, let's say similar topics to this one. Now, at the end of this video, I'll share with you how to get a free ebook on the topic of 5 secrets to your happier marriage, the roadmap to the marriage you've always wanted and so deserve. So hang in there, and let's then, to the end, and I'll tell you how to get that. So let's dive into today's topic. 5 reasons why I love you, but not in love with you is a myth. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not naive and not somehow, again, like I mentioned before, working with so many couples, I've heard this statement. I've heard this very same statement many, many times, right? And I believe, I have a reason. I have reasons. I've been given reasons. Let's put it that way. I've been given reasons why a spouse would say, "I love you, but not in love with you." Now, when I hear it, I am looking for the real reason, right? It's almost like my spider senses goes off, and I'm looking. Okay, what is the contributing? What's the essence? What's the bottom line here? What's happening below the surface? And based upon my observations and my experience with couples, as I mentioned, of all these many hundreds of couples, not saying every couple that come in I've used this, but a number of them have. And what I have discovered, and based on my observation, I believe there are I've come to 3 conclusions, right? 3 conclusions as to why a person may say this. And here is what I've seen and I've heard. Number 1 is that there is an interest somewhere else. That person is having an interest in possibly someone else, somewhere else, right? And when I say somewhere, I think it's because it's normally someone else. Someone else have caught their attention. Someone else have gotten their ear. Someone else is paying them the attention they've been wanting. Maybe their marriage has been not what they were hoping for it to be, and somehow they've reached out to friend that they've known for a very long time. It could be an ex or just somebody that they believe they could confide in and talk about their relationship, and that person has given them all the attention they need or needed, and so there's an interest that have developed somewhere else, and that person has given them all the attention they need or needed, and so there's an interest that have developed somewhere else, and that person has given them all the attention they need or needed, and so there's an interest that have developed. And so begin over time, when that interest begin to become more satisfactory, where they find that person to be more satisfying in their relationship, they're confiding, that they begin to lose that spark that they once had in their own marriage, even though that may have been lost quite some time, but it begin to almost disappear. And so there's interest somewhere else. The second conclusion I've come to, and based upon observations and my discovery, is there is unforgiveness in the relationship, because there's a resentment that's been built up, and almost like a repulsiveness, where they are repulsed with the idea of being around their husband or their wife, something that that person may have done. And it could be that it's an infidelity. I've seen that sometime, and when that person begin to think about, what may have gone on, and listened and have asked questions and have gotten the information that, it just stays with them. And that's why I think that sometimes when a person is working through this infidelity issues, they want to work with it through a third party, a professional. Why? Because they might injure themselves even more so than they already are injured by the way they've asked and framed their questions, and why they want to know certain details. And I get it. I understand why it's important, but I think it can create a repulsiveness and resentment and unforgiveness. And sometimes as time has gone by and they've sat in that unforgiveness and resentment, then that leads to the place where their heart feels distant from their spouse. They don't feel like they truly love and admire their spouse as they once did. And so what happened is that has led them to almost an empty feeling, where they don't feel like they're in this, there's no romance, there's no fire, and it's gone out, and they're wondering, what am I doing here? And I will say, I love my husband, I love my wife, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not in love anymore with them. So I find that to be another conclusion that I've come to. The third one is when there is abuse, verbal, emotional, or physical abuse in the relationship, and that person have had enough. They have been beaten down and worn down and stripped of all their dignity, right? And they have nothing left. They feel like, I'm empty. I'm like a shell of a person. And so what happened is now they begin to feel like, well, I'm not, I still love my husband, if they would even say that anymore, but they will say, definitely, I'm not in love with him or her anymore. How can I be in love with someone who treats me that way? Who is, and they'll use words like narcissist, or, is a whatever else that words they'll use, but is making the case of why they cannot be in this relationship anymore. And they'll say, because of that, I'm not in love with that person anymore. And they will try to say, I'm still holding on to that. I just love there, but I'm just not in love with them anymore. So what then are 5 reasons why I believe that this I love you, but not in love with you is a myth? Here's the first reason I want to give you. Is a misunderstanding that love is just a feeling. People who think that love is just a feeling, they base their love upon how they feel about their husband or their wife. And somehow they're now thinking, because I don't feel that way, I must not be in love with my husband or my wife, because they're basing love, the definition of love, on a feeling. They assume that it's just a feeling, but love, my friend, is more complex than that, right? Love is a combination of emotions and actions and behaviors, and those things make up the relationship, the marriage. But I want to go a step further by just giving you one very, very, I believe, rule of thumb when it comes to love. Love, in essence, is a choice. Love is a choice. Whether it's an action or a behavior, I've chosen to behave that way. I've chosen to love my wife. She's chosen to love me. It begins as a choice. And that must be the thing that precedes everything else. Every single day you choose to either love or not to love. So it's not a feeling. So when you say, I'm not in love with I love him, it's as if those two are separate entities of themselves. They're not. Like I just said, it's a complexity of it, because it involves, it's intertwined, right, of emotions and actions and behaviors. And somehow you think, because all those things are not happening, I'm just not in love. So one of the reasons why I believe it's a myth is that love is a feeling. You base it upon how they feel, right? Feel comes secondary to actions. So one of the reasons why I think it's a myth. The myth number two, one of the reasons why I think, number two reasons why I think is a myth, because attraction can grow. Attraction for your spouse can grow, means it is something that it has an ebb and flow. Some day you feel like it's growing, other days it feels like plateauing, right? It's plateaued, but it's a growth opportunity, right? So with effort and through communication, you can grow where you are. You choose, like I mentioned before, now you can let that growth occur. So not because you don't feel that you're in love right now, because of some things that are going on, doesn't mean that it won't happen in the future as you choose to love your husband, as you choose to love her, right? And work through the things that are possibly roadblocks to this feeling you're talking about. But remember, it's an opportunity for growth. So attraction that you have for your spouse is something that grows with time. It's not just a one-time, one-off deal. No, it's something you work on and you develop and you evolve and become better at at this with your husband or your wife. Number three, love and attraction, right? The attraction that's growing, they're linked together. Love and attraction are interconnected, can impact each other. So when you just focus on one aspect of love, like the feeling aspect of love, you might be missing out on the potential of a deeper connection, because love and attraction, they're linked. So the more you can create in your mind reasons why you can love your husband or love your wife and make a case for them, just how they carry themselves, how they interact with people, how they love on people, whatever else case you want to build, that will create an attraction. You're attracted to that kind of person, and you begin to feel a sense of like, man, this is an awesome feeling to have for my spouse, because when I see him or her in action, my heart just gets so filled and overcome. So it's an attraction, and love and attraction has been growing are linked together. So first we mentioned, the first thing we mentioned was love is not just a feeling. The second thing, remember, attraction. Attraction can grow if you can give it time, right? It may not be where you is today, but it can grow if you find the right things to focus on. And three, love and attraction, right? They are linked together. So the more that grows, then the more attraction grows, the more love, emotions you will feel for your spouse. Number four, relationships, marriage require work, right? It's one of those 4-letter words that sometimes when I tell people about what they might need to work on in their relationship, I hear this so often, I mean, that's hard. That will be hard. And I'm saying, well, yeah, if it's work, it should be. Is it worth working on, working for? Obviously it does. So when you say it's going to require work, well, what do you expect? Is it something of value? You work for things that are valuable, that are important to you, right? So it requires effort and dedication to maintain this connection, this deeper connection. So saying I love you but not in love with you implies that love, as I mentioned earlier, is just a feeling and it cannot be changed. And that is not true. It's a myth. Because when in reality, relationships require the effort and work, and the more you're working on it and the more effort you're put into the relationship, that also will take over your emotions, your feelings, and put it in the right place, in the right perspective, right? Now, before I share with you the fifth reason, I want you to why I believe that saying I love you, but I'm not in love with you is a myth, before I share with you the fifth reason, I want you to do three quick things for me. Three quick things. Number one, I want you to smash that subscribe button that is below. Smash that button. Number two, hit the like button as well, if you're liking what it is you're listening to this channel. And then you click on that notification bell so you'll be notified of all the releases of this channel. You don't want to miss out on anything. So number five, the fifth reason that I have here, and this is a very important one, is to remember love is a journey, not a destination. Love is a journey, not a destination. So some people think that love is a static idea, it's not like you're on this journey with your spouse, but it is, my friend, because it's taking in all the elements of efforts you're putting in, the work and the growth and the commitment that is going into those relationships, right? Yes, you're going to have ups and downs in a relationship. That's understandable. But that doesn't mean that love is lost when you're having some downs and less down than ups. Remember, that's a rhythm of the relationship. And every relationship that is not static, and it is not, have the ebbs and flow, it should go up and down. It cannot always remain up and should not always remain down. It should be this kind of dance that's taking place and this kind of a rhythm that's been formed in the relationship. And once it's in sync and you understand this idea of up and down and up and down, what's happening is you expect these moments that can happen to you and not be surprised by that. So it's important to work on maintaining this idea in your of about what relationship is truly about. So here are again the 5 reasons that I believe that this is a myth, right? It's a myth, and I share with you where it's coming from. But number one, love is not just a feeling. Let me quickly share again with you the conclusion that I've come to based upon working with people, because I said their interests somewhere else. There's unforgiveness or resentment or repulsiveness that's in the relationship. And there could be abuse, verbal, emotional, physical abuse that's taking place that leads a person to want to say those things. Now, here why the 5 reasons why I believe it's a myth, or I say it's a myth, because love is not just a feeling. That's number one. Number two, remember, attraction can grow. Attraction can grow for your spouse, your partner. Number 3, love and attraction are linked. So if you're growing your attraction, then the love and that are linked together. Number 4, relationships require work. And number 5, love is a journey, not a destination. Now, I would love to hear from you what your thoughts are on this very topic that I have just said. I want to debunk that it's a myth. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what it is that you heard that makes this make sense for you. And if you agree with any of these, just comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If any questions you have or any additional things you may want to add, then please make sure that you do that below while you're listening to this. So again, I want to say thanks for watching. And before I tell you how to get the free ebook that I promise you, let me remind you to make sure you smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss on any future videos. And remember to listen to the Happier Marriage Secrets podcast and read the blogs at happiermarriagesecrets.com. Now, all this included access to the free ebook that I mentioned will be in the links below, so you can always hit that, find it in the links below in the notes that follow the show. So you can always find the links there. So the 5 secrets to your happier marriage can be had at kingsleygrant.com/HMS ebook, kingsleygrant.com/HMS ebook. So my friend, again, you can see all the links below and I'll leave them right there for you. So now let's make marriages happier again. With that said, my friend, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here today, and may God bless you. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace out. God bless.